Hello, this is Susan Ashley. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Susan&Kassandra. I'd like to do just a quick video today to discuss this little girl called Grace from the Northern Territory. I know there's a lot of information out there, and I'm very aware that she's currently back with the perpetrator, the person who has been abusing her. And what I'd like to address is from the victim's point of view and the therapist's point of view, both sides. Okay, so this is a little girl who spoke her truth, and the people around her said that she was making it up. She has a wild imagination, that her mother was coaching her, and they didn't want to believe her because it's either they're part of it or, you know, these are subjects that a lot of people think are taboo. Then you have truthers and healers on the internet saying that they don't believe the story, and that we shouldn't be talking about this sort of thing because it creates a vibration of anger and pain on the planet. So we should all just be quiet, and we should not air our dirty laundry in public. Okay, that's very, very, very Victorian. You know, the old Victorian age. So the Victorian era, where you didn't. It's very British as well. You don't air your dirty laundry in public. Okay, so let me address this to you who said that. And I know there's a few of you. Okay. First of all, little children do not lie about these things. Why? Because they don't generally feel shame. As they get older, because they feel shame, they don't say anything. But before they feel shame, because they don't realize it's a sexual act, they're very honest and they speak in a childlike vocabulary, right? And so you can distinguish whether the mother has coached them or not through their vocabulary. So if you don't have a background in therapy, then you're not going to know this. So I'd ask you, if you're a healer, to either find out some of this or, you know, stay in your heart around it rather than be harsh and think, oh no, this is what I feel. We shouldn't be thinking anything. These are the I'm so positive healers. I'm so positive. You know, I'm sorry, this is driving me crazy at the moment because your positivity is stinking everybody out, right? You know, if a child can't tell the truth and you don't believe them because you don't want to hear it because it offends you, what sort of man are you? Honestly, what sort of man are you? Children tell the truth. They tell it in their own words. They express it in their own way. But they certainly tell the truth. And in this instance, you also have medical proof that this happened. And I'll add to that, why would a woman become a single parent and make her life harder if her husband was a good man? Why would she do that? Why would she go against the law to save her child because she wants to badmouth her husband? Why would she do that? You know, turn your brain on a little bit. I know it's hard for men sometimes to turn their brain on and imagine what it's like being a woman in a man's world. Now, I'm not bagging men, but what I'm saying is that there are a lot of things that women are shamed for. You know, in the movies we're depicted as stupid, the dumb blonde and all that. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. Okay, so the second part of this also is that the way to healing for anyone, whether it's a child or an adult that's been abused, one of the first stages is to be heard, to be believed. That's a massive step towards healing. Because if you're told that you're making it up, you're lying, it's a fantasy, you've got a wild imagination, that's very confusing for a child because they're telling you the truth. The second phase is justice. And this is even just, if not more important, justice for that child, justice for the acts that have been put upon them, right? You know why that is? Because if they know that person is no longer able to abuse them or someone else, they will start to feel safe and they will begin the healing process. But whilst there is no justice, the healing process is very long and arduous. And sometimes it's never complete until that person is dead, right? So, yes, hearing about it makes you upset. It makes me upset. It makes you angry. Yes, it does. But if you are a decent man and you are a loving person, then instead of being angry, you will have righteous anger and be pushed to protect that child, the women and children around you, instead of being a dickhead and saying, let's not talk about it. It's too ugly. I'll talk about it and I'll tell you the truth. It is ugly and it's horrible and it's depressing and it makes me angry. But I am willing to hear it to set those people free. What are you willing to do? And to all those therapists out there that are also assholes, you know, I can't even believe the level of amazing people that are out there that are ready, willing and able to help others. And because they haven't written a book or done something amazing, they are not being held with respect. And I know that you're out there and I know that you're exhausted because I've been exhausted over this. But I'm going to ask you to keep going, to keep going. You know, research is formulated through testimonials, isn't it? It's through people experiencing something and sharing that experience. So that's how research is formulated. So I'm going to give you a little bit of research that I formulated, okay? Like I said, first stage is to be heard. Second stage is justice. Unfortunately, the second stage is very, very rarely experienced. I'm going to tell you two clients of mine. You know, I don't give names or anything like that, but I've been doing this for 35 years. I've got thousands and thousands of stories. And I have thousands and thousands of stories, not thousands, but perhaps hundreds, that would rock your world. And people wouldn't believe me if I said it out loud. People don't want to hear it. It's the same shit. Oh, you know, that's a very heavy subject. Do we need to talk about it? Well, yeah, we do. We do. Because if we don't, it will never be healed. Never. It'll all be underground. And you know why it keeps happening? Because assholes like that dickhead that said that are telling you all to be quiet about it, not to speak about it. It's bad vibes, bad vibes. It's not very positive. Wonder why they're telling you that. Who would advise you to do that? Would it be someone who actually might be guilty themselves? Maybe. I don't know. Would it be someone who's not as powerful as they say they are? Because I can tell you now, it takes a huge amount of power to sit in a seat and listen without judgment, listen with love and tenderness, and listen so cautiously and carefully that you understand, and also listen to God on how you can help. So let me give you two examples, a male and a female. They came into my mind, so that's why I'm going to say them. That came to me. Okay, so I had a young guy, 19. His friend was coming to me as a client and said, look, would you be able to see my friend? He's been going to someone, but it's not working out, but he doesn't have any money. And I said, look, okay, give him my number and I'll have a chat with him. So I had a chat. I said, come in and see me. And this beautiful 19-year-old young man walked in with, you know, just looking like an angel. And it turned out that he was going to this psychiatrist, and he said to the psychiatrist, look, I don't have enough money to pay you, but I really need help. And the psychiatrist said, don't worry, we'll figure something out. So he told the psychiatrist that he was sexually abused by his father from a young age, starting at around 5 or 6, and his father's friends. So the psychiatrist said, that's okay. You can pay me by performing sexual acts at the end of the session. So this young man is going for a session to his psychiatrist to get help for sexual abuse and then prostituting himself out as a way of payment. Can you believe this shit? Yeah, okay. Second story. Young woman comes in, she's mid-20s. Her husband's in the waiting room and she's crying, and she said, look, I'm here because I was sexually abused as a child. I've been going to see someone, etc., etc. And they were going to see a therapist because they're married, they had problems in their marriage. And I said to her, well, okay. So I asked her a few questions about this sexual abuse and basically figured out that she hadn't been sexually abused at all. And so there was a sigh of relief. And then, because, some people, if they're really confused, you can say anything to them and they'll believe it because it's a way of making sense of why they're feeling a certain way. It's a way of justifying their feelings. So as a therapist, you're in a very, very powerful position. You can influence people, the way they respond, the way they act, which is actually going on with this whole gender situation. But anyway, so we realised that she wasn't sexually abused, and that basically what her husband was asking her to do was not something she was comfortable with, right? And there was a big trust issue and communication issue. So if you want a woman to surrender to you, you don't get to her to surrender by not communicating and demanding. You know what I mean? Women soften more and open up more the more they're heard and the more they're communicated to and understood. So anyway, then she says, but his methods, this guy's methods, are really intense. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? And she said, well, he said the only way I could cure my frigid behaviour was he was going to go to a hotel and I was to come to the hotel dressed as a prostitute and he would pay me for sex and that was going to cure me. And she was just devastated at this point, So I said, look, you need to tell your husband, because the husband believed this guy was a miracle maker, So she called the husband in and she gently told him, and the husband obviously wanted to kill the therapist and all of this. And I said, the one thing you can do is you can put in a formal complaint. Now, I also said that to the young guy. I've said it to a lot of clients. Put in a complaint against the therapist. But they don't. Why? Because they're adults and they feel shame. Children do not feel shame. Young children especially do not feel shame. Okay? If the parent or the carer or someone in the community listens to them and does something to protect them, even when they're an adult, they will not feel shame. So you out there that said, oh, this person's going to be devastated by the shame when they get older, you need to go back to school and reread your books. Or listen to your clients, observe your clients, have a connection with them. That's research. I research everything. How I do it is through my clients. I don't need to quote Freud or Jung or any of those. I have spent 35 years with people, listening, understanding, having compassion, and believing them. And I've heard some pretty wild things. So if you have a therapist that has done that to you, I would ask you to put in a formal complaint about them. You might think nothing will happen, but I'll tell you what can happen. Eventually something will, because another person will and another person will, and before you know it, there'll be so many people putting in a complaint against that person that it will have to have an impact. But more importantly, you're sending the energy of truth to the situation. You're letting that therapist know this is wrong and I'm not having it, and you're exposing them in some way. You know, the enemy of evil is the truth. And the only way we're going to heal this on the planet and get rid of this plague of sexual abuse on all levels is to speak our truth, is to be honest. And children are always honest. So I'll leave you with that one. Bye for now.